right. Welcome to the very first episode of Backseat Startup, where we give unsolicited advice to strangers on the internet. I'm Luke Persueveld, and I'm joined today by Landon Campbell. Landon is the newly minted general manager for Chicago for Drive Capital, and he is also the host of the In Their 20s podcast. It was risky to have somebody so experienced in podcast on for the first episode, but I'm really glad you're here.
This is going to be a lot of fun, Luke. Thanks so much for having me.
All right. So this is all about kind of keeping it casual and unscripted. I'm going to pull up Reddit, and we're going to the r/startups on Reddit. We're going to find a topic and break it down. Sound good?
Let's do it.
All right. Let's get into it. All right. So if you see anything that catches your eye at first, please let me know.
What's this first one? Need advice on whether to keep going or shut down. I want to, but feel like I've made some bad mistakes. Well, I mean, quick thing I'll say here, or actually the question, how long has this company been going? We'll see if we see that in the description.
Yeah, all right. I'll just give this a little read for our listeners. So this is posted by Arcantius on the r/startups subreddit, and the title is "Need advice on whether to keep going or shut down. I want to, but feel like I have made some bad mistakes. Hey all, I wanted to post this to get this off my chest. I already feel quite down on the state of affairs, and trust me, I am well aware of some of the mistakes I will go through here. 2 years back, I went through a local program for a business idea and got $100,000 to get started. It was an accelerated program. This was my first funded startup, as I am a first-time founder. I was a finance person prior. Anyway, I ended up being a solo founder and managed to get into a program that gave me some funding. Went through the program with the idea and built our first iteration. Problem was, first iteration sucked and we had to pivot. I then started running with another iteration, and with that traction was able to get $1 million of funding. I know, crazy, all with sub 1,000 MAUs. I got a VC and some big angel investors. Made some dumb mistakes on hiring. It was rough during the pandemic, fully remote. Ended up making too many hires too quickly. Was told by a lot of folks to go and hire. Wasn't their fault at the end of the day. I made the decision. So fast forward, I am 2 years into this thing, less than 200,000 left in the bank. Cut down my team to basically 2 developers, some interns, and myself. We finally made our first revenue. We are a software startup, by the way, with investors who want growth. We are also still sub 1,000 MAUs, and we are on our 4th iteration. What we do for users and who they are, etc. I'm not quite sure what they mean there, but I have enough runway to make it for 7 months at our current burn. We got our first chunk of revenue from an advertiser. Without getting into the weeds, I guess I just feel rather dumb and like a failure. I managed to raise a lot of money because I am good at selling, but then when it came to executing, I floundered. I just feel horrible for letting down my supporters and backers. I have not taken time off in almost 2.5 years. I just am feeling rather down because I burnt through a lot of money. At one point, they were doing $1,000 a month in burn. And now we are down to $25,000-ish. I'm assuming they're still talking about the burn. I'm going to keep trying, but at some point, I just wonder when I should just suck it up and admit defeat. 7 months is a long time, but consider how much I've screwed up. I seriously question if I can pull this off still. My backers are still encouraging us, of course, and they believe in me, as does my team. It is just when I say the above out loud, I am just shocked at how much I messed up. I didn't get all that funding, by the way, at once. It was in chunks over a 2-year period. Now, if I don't get our metrics up and get more revenue, we won't get funding for sure, and it's game over. I even stopped paying myself. Wasn't paying myself much either, was about $30,000. Now it's about $100 a week. Luckily, I take care of my family members, so I have a roof over my head. I also feel guilty about that. Just want to know some outside perspective. Have any other founders screwed up like this? I feel rather incompetent, not going to lie. I overhired and spent more than I should before product market fit. Given that, I still want to try, but given my track record, I just lose sleep over these mistakes. I'm great at raising money, telling a story, but my execution just has been mediocre, especially on the hiring front. I am trying to get better. I asked to not be too harsh, as trust me, I already beat myself up over it already. I see so many founders who are amazing and would kill to have the funding I've gotten and probably could have done a much better job. I feel very lucky and I'm thankful to have even gotten the chance. Just sucks when you come up short on your own expectations and dreams. Advice and perspective appreciated. So that was pretty long, and we can start wherever you want, but do you have any initial thoughts?
Well, I think that I too am very critical of myself. We can all be our own biggest cheerleaders, but also, we do need to beat ourselves up, and we know that we're making mistakes and want to strive to do better. But hearing a lot of this did make me a little sad. I mean, this individual calling themselves dumb, incompetent. I think we spend so much time celebrating success, but also it's not that we need to encourage failure or mistakes, but I think we need to find more comfortability in making mistakes, especially if you're able to learn from them. So I liked how this individual was very reflective and exactly what they've learned from these moments, what they did wrong. And I think that they, in 7 months at least, will have a unique crossroads where they can either keep pushing forward, but if they know the idea is not going to work, maybe it will be best to retire this. But again, if you do want to launch something else in the future, make sure you can articulate very clearly what went wrong with this. And if you were to launch another company in the future, what you won't do to repeat these mistakes, because mistakes are okay to make one time, but of course, repeated mistakes is something that no one should ever do. So if I was this individual, I think that I would assess in 7 months. And if I felt like I'm only in a position to lose my investors' money, and let my team down, then I would have to make that executive decision, maybe to stop operations. But then I would look to actually get experience from a smaller startup, like as an employee. I think I would join a team building a product that maybe isn't the same thing necessarily that you're looking to build, but something that you are very intrigued with, interested in. Join that team. You'd probably learn a lot from your experience being an operator in a short amount of time, year to 2 years, or maybe you end up wanting to stay because things are going really well there. But again, I think that I come across a lot of founders that make these mistakes and they think that they're screwed for life and can never, start another company again. But then on the other side, I come across founders that make mistakes like this and they don't acknowledge what went wrong, and they just get into another company really quickly. And they start to repeat a lot of the old mistakes that they've made previously. I, of course, would not invest in the second founder I just mentioned. But I mean, again, looking at that first example I gave, it's really important that if you're going to, unfortunately, things like this happen. The startup life can be sexy, what we read about, a lot of it all sounds good, but yes, this is the other side a lot of people don't talk about, the founder burnout, just incompetency or feeling like you can't execute. But I wouldn't just keep that in your mind that you can never start something again. I would instead, again, at the end of the 7 months, and look, I want to hear your thoughts on this as well, because you have 7 months of runway left. Let's see what happens at the end of the 7 months, but then make your decision. If you do choose to stop operations, really understand what went wrong. And that's going to help you in whatever you do afterwards, even if it's you working at another startup, going to corporate America, or building your own other startup. That's all experience that you should use and can help you in whatever you do afterwards.
Yeah, I think that's all really great advice. I see some promising parts here, right? They're obviously really good at storytelling. If they were able to raise the money and hire a team, and those are all such critical traits to have as a founder. And I'm curious, I guess it to some degree depends on what type of investor put in the $1 million, but I get the feeling that the idea can't be that bad. And they make a good point that it comes down to execution. And like you said, there's 7 months to kind of turn this around or, see yourself out, because that's the situation with runway. But execution is something that can be hired. And if this founder is a great storyteller, that's kind of the crux of hiring, getting people to buy into the vision, to buy into the company. And I think it's true, if they get to the end of 7 months and nothing's happening and they haven't seen much traction, it's going to be incredibly difficult to raise subsequent money. But a lot can change in 7 months. And
a lot can change in 7 months. And that's just startup land. Things go up, things go down. But I think just overall, this individual making a post like this is the first step. They're acknowledging a lot of the mistakes that they have made. But I would even go further and, maybe find other founders. I know you're asking for advice from other founders in this post. But yeah, like actually look to create conversations with individuals of even successful startups, because I remember, when I worked at Cameo while I was in college, I mean, constantly ups and downs every single week. It's almost like, we're on top of the world and then things were going to shit and then we were on top of the world. So you just got to understand that this has happened pretty much to every startup out there. Majority of the startups have gone through a lot of ups and downs. But when you are going through those downs, it's very important that you learn from what you're experiencing so you don't make the same mistakes again.
That's exactly right. If you like roller coasters, can I introduce you to startup life? And honestly, like the hardest parts of the startup are kind of what forge the future of founders. There's a reason why so many second time, third time founders are so successful. It's because they've gone through this. So many founders do. Most founders do, I would argue. And it just prepares them that much better for the next challenge that comes. So in the first question that they ask, have any other founders screwed up like this? I can guarantee you with a high degree of certainty that many founders have been exactly where this founder is now. And
if I can add just one more thing, piece of advice for this founder. So from the perspective of, someone who is deploying capital, I think that, I'll see a lot of decks and speak to a lot of founders, and I'll see the, that bullet point, like, this isn't my first rodeo. Like, I've started a company before, first time or second time founder, third time founder. And a lot of times those founders don't dive into what the experience was. So I want to make sure that people understand having that previous founder experience is, it does help a lot versus someone who maybe is a first time founder. But a lot of VCs, we, or majority of VCs should, we want extraordinary founders. And the difference of an extraordinary founder and a great founder might be if your company went on to get acquired, do really well, versus, if you're a founder that, yes, had a company before, but had a big failure. That's a key difference between an extraordinary founder and a great founder, and a good founder as well. So I think that that's something to keep in mind. Like, there's nothing that you can do now to make up for the mistakes that you have made with this startup, but learn, from what you did, and be able to really communicate that and answer those questions when you speak with future investors for future projects or companies that you're looking to start, because that will be something that comes up. It's great if you founded a company before. That's all good experience that goes into your life cycle as a founder, coming in and starting another company. But I think that a lot of people don't talk, you get what I'm talking about, Luke? Like, a lot of people don't talk about the difference between extraordinary, great, and good, I believe. And if, again, you were not successful in your first endeavor, that's okay. Not every company is going to be a unicorn, but make sure that you can really clearly communicate what went wrong and what you learned from that experience. Because if you expect to want to be an extraordinary founder, even though, something didn't go right with the first one, and you want to say you're an extraordinary founder because you started a company before, you really got to talk about, again, like, what went wrong with the first one. And at least as an investor, that would make me feel better. So just know about, like, what you learned from the mistakes and what you're not going to do again.
Yeah, I love that. I think being able to articulate the mistake, what happened, and how you would approach it differently the next time, and ownership of the mistake, are characteristics that really show what a founder is made of. So I love that point, Landon. I think we both wish this founder the best. I hope the next 7 months are filled with a lot of improvement and growth, whether that's continues to be with this company after that, or in whatever the founder does next. So
totally.
Landon, it was so great to have you on. Where can listeners connect with you?
So listeners can check me out on Twitter or Instagram. It's just Landon20s, LANDON20S. Also my podcast, as you mentioned, in their 20s. But yes, I'm really excited for this new role with Drive Capital. Real big things are going to be coming to the city. So make sure to check out drivecapital.com. And if you are a Chicagoland founder, reach out. We'd love to start a conversation.
All right. Thanks so much, Landon. It's great.
Thanks, man.
Thank you for watching this episode of Backseat Startup. Please like and subscribe for more. This show is brought to you by Startup Founder Daily. We feature founders across our platforms for free. If you'd like to apply, head to the application form in the show notes.